One thing nobody tells you when you get out on the road is that your social security net disappears overnight. No coworkers, no neighbors, no childhood friends in your life that you may have had for decades. You can still be in touch with those people online, through video chats, through WhatsApp, whatever you want to use. But it's not the same as being face to face. And you find out immediately that you have no social network once you leave your home base. You are out there all alone. So to soften that blow, I've come up with different ways that I use to meet people when I'm on the road, to make connections, meaningful connections, and to make a social network, even a temporary one, so that I can feel that I have some kind of connection with the people that I'm volunteering with, traveling with, whatever it happens to be. Now, this lack of a social network really forces a question that most people never ask. What exactly am I looking for in a friend? Because most of our social networks are by default. I've been sitting with that question now for over 3.5 years. And in this episode, I'm going to unpack some of the answers and insights that I've come up with. I want to show you what that actually looks like on the road. I've been traveling now for over 3.5 years through South America, and there's systems that I put in place to build networks and to have a social network so that I have some kind of interaction with people, even though I'm moving around a lot and I don't have a specific home base. This has been very challenging, and lately it's made me look at how I'm traveling and how I would like to be traveling in the future and the kinds of connections that would make a meaningful difference in my life. You might not be on the road, but these strategies will work for you as well, and I'll show you how later in this video. Last month, I talked about solitude versus connection in an episode of Living Walden number 5. That's about Henry David Thoreau and his experiences of living at Walden. This was specifically about him choosing the company that he kept and engaging with people on his own terms and having solitude when he needed it, as opposed to being surrounded by people that he didn't want to be surrounded by. I will leave the link to that in the description if you want to check that one out. It was a very popular episode. Like a lot of things, finding an ideal friend, being an ideal friend, starts with clarity. What exactly is it you're looking for? So what I do, I sit down and get clear before I want to do anything of any significance in my life. I sit down with a piece of paper and a pen, old school, and write out, here's my goal. In this case, finding an ideal friend. And I would write out what's important to me. What characteristics would this person have? What kind of shared values would we have? What interests would we share? What would the ideal friend look like? And I'll sit there with this list, and it might be over days or weeks, and just add to it until I feel like I've got a pretty clear picture of what it is I'm looking for. Because without that, you're going to go into your default friendships and relationships of people that maybe you've known for decades, and maybe they're not a great fit in your life. Maybe they were when you first met. My question, my filter for people that are in my life today is one very simple question. If I met this person today, would I want to hang out with them? And if the answer is no, then we're done. Just because we had a connection 40 years ago or 30 or 20 or like last week doesn't mean that that's going to continue in the future. But if we have some core beliefs and some shared values, integrity, for example, people that always do what they know to be right. People that do what they say they're going to do. No lip service. I've got friends, if they say they're going to do something, it's as good as done. And I know you can take that to the bank. Things like courage, like decency, like treating people with respect. These things, these values, they're very important to me. So the people in my life are going to share those values if we're going to have a long-term connection. And without that, we can still have a decent connection, but these are more drinking buddies or just casual acquaintances as opposed to the core group of friends that I want to put together, especially when I'm on the road. And those people may not be on the road. I have friends that I'm in touch with every month, every couple months. We'll connect by phone or through a WhatsApp chat and just talk about how's life, what's new, what's going on, how's your parents, how's your family, how's your job, just life. And it's very reassuring to have those connections when I'm floating around the globe with no home base, no real foundations on the road. Because without those connections, for me, I feel totally adrift. And that starts to weigh on you. It certainly started to weigh on me over the last couple months as I've adjusted my approach for long-term travel and the way I'm going to be doing it in the future. I'm not looking to build a huge group of friends. I'm looking for 1, 2, maybe 3 friends that I know they've got my back and I've got theirs. We can have a conversation about life, about health, about work, family, whatever it is, and feel better for having that conversation. And a lot of the time, for me, it comes down to just feeling that I've been heard. Somebody actually paid attention to the conversation, to what was important to me. A lot of time on the road, that falls by the wayside. Here's the way I find people, like-minded people, on the road. If you're not on the road, I'll show you how to do this from home. It's way easier that way. I've been volunteering now for over 3 years down here, like I said, in Ecuador and Colombia, and that's usually my social outlet. So I'm living in somebody's place, they're hosting me, we're sharing meals, we're working together, they're showing me around their town, introducing me to their community and their friends. It's a full-on cultural immersive experience, and it's been incredible. But it can be really draining because you make a connection and then you leave a part of yourself in that place and you move on to the next place. That being said, it's totally worthwhile and I'm glad that I've done it. And here's something I've really realized, that most of the connections that I make are with my hosts. I'm in my 50s. A lot of the volunteers that I end up with on some of these gigs are 20s, sometimes late 20s, early 30s, but not usually much older than that. Occasionally, yes. And that, for me, that's gold. When there's somebody who's closer to my age or older than me, like, this is fantastic. I can connect with these people on a lot of different things. But most of the time, my connection is with the host because that's who I'm going to be spending a lot of my time with. And that's the connection for if I decide to go back to that placement. And usually when I leave, by the way, then they say, it's been a pleasure having you here. Come back here anytime. You're welcome. One place told me I was like family, right? You're part of the community. You're part of our family. This is your home. You are welcome here anytime. You can stay as long as you want. And that's really heartwarming when you're out on the road and you don't have any connection. I didn't know anybody in Ecuador or Colombia when I went to either of those places. If you're not on the road, what are your interests? What are your hobbies? What is it that you're looking for in a friend? It's that clarity piece. And not just what do you want to get from a friendship, but what would you bring to a friendship? These are all very important questions. An easy way to find those people is to get out. Put your screens down, get out, and find a meetup group. Or if you're into a local sport, find a pickleball league or whatever your sport is or hobby. It could be ballroom dancing. Maybe you like playing bingo, whatever it is. Go and find those people. Introduce yourself. Be sociable. Take yourself out of your comfort zone. Put down the screens and get out and get face to face with people. Because you only need 1 or 2 really good friends. And as you realize, we share an interest, or we share a lot of values, or we share a hobby, something that's meaningful. That is a great place to start a connection that can bloom into a friendship that lasts decades. For me, that's been music historically, playing in bands, being a drummer and a music director out on cruise ships. I met literally hundreds of people, if not thousands, all over the world. Some of whom, a very small quantity of whom I'm still in touch with today. And that friendship is based on our love of music. Your thing might not be music, but whatever it is, get clear about something that's important to you and about what an ideal friend would look like. Make some new friends. They're not all going to work out, but you only need 1 or 2. And that can add a huge amount of depth and richness to your experience of life. Because one thing I know for sure is that when you get to the end of life, all the stuff you own, all that stuff isn't going to matter at all. You're going to be thinking about the people in your life who've been there for you. You've got their back. They've got yours. Events that have happened over the course of your life, happy times that you shared, challenging times that you shared, but it's always going to come down to the relationships that you had. And that might not be with your family. That might be more with the friends that you've made along the way. Don't underestimate those friendships. They are gold. And at the end of your life, they're going to mean more to you than anything in your life. I've found if I go in with no expectations, I have a much better experience. That's not just with friends. That's in general in life, and especially on the road. If I'm going to a tourist attraction or going to see a show or going to do whatever it happens to be, I go in wide open. I don't want to have any preconceived notions or, oh, it has to be like this, and if it isn't like this, then it's a failure. Because if I have any expectations and they're not met for whatever reason, I find that I have a worse experience than if I just go in wide open. I don't have any expectations other than I'm going to meet some cool people and have a good time. And on that basis, I end up making some good connections. And I've got contacts all over Ecuador and parts of Colombia. Being on the road where I don't know anybody, that is hugely, hugely helpful in making me feel like I belong, like there's a connection, like I have these friendships that make my travels that much more meaningful and that much more interesting. I've experienced this on the road. I've got a couple different home bases here in Ecuador, one up in Pasto in Colombia. Lovely people, fantastic hosts. These all came through volunteer opportunities. They introduced me to their friends, their families, their communities. We shared meals, we shared a lot of conversations, a lot of work, a lot of different volunteer gigs, and it's been a fantastic experience. These are the kinds of people that I want to connect with. And I may go months or years without seeing them, but I'll send them pictures or stories from the road. Hey, I'm in this part of the world doing this thing. Hope you guys are good. Let me know what's new in your life. And it's heartfelt, and it's nice to have those connections. The volunteer gig I'm on here in Pifo in Ecuador, it's a lady from Chile. Lovely, friendly, super helpful, very compassionate. She's got a sort of a farm here with some chickens and ducks and a vegetable garden, and we're helping her to move forward with her projects here on the farm. This is the way I make connections and friendships, and sometimes there's a deep, long-term connection, other times it's shorter. It's usually always heartfelt, especially in Latin America, because people are always very open. How do you apply that to your life? Show up to a place with no expectations and be open to meeting people and having great experiences and possibly making connections that could last decades or a lifetime. And none of these connections are going to happen if you're sitting in your place playing on your phone or got your head buried in a screen. You need to get out there, meet people, have connections, interact with them. Everything now is done through a screen. But for me, that's not really living. I'd rather get out into the communities, into different parts of Ecuador, Colombia, other parts of South America, meet people, share meals, share experiences, share our lives with each other, even if it's only for a few weeks or months at a time. Because those connections turn into great stories and great experiences that I know I'm going to treasure for a lifetime. Now, you're not just going to stumble into the perfect situation. You need to get clear about what you're looking for in a friend, what you want to be in a friend, and what you want someone to be for you in a relationship with a friend. You need to indulge your interests, show up wide open with no expectations, and let things unfold as they will. It's not going to be 100%. Some days are going to be better than others. You might go to 3 or 4 groups in a row or different events in a row, not meet anybody that you connect with. You're not trying to build a huge social circle. You just need 1 or 2 friends, people that share your values, share your interests, that you can enhance each other's lives through your mutual enjoyment of whatever it is, a hobby. For me, music. For you, might be something different. Shared values go a long way, and I'm noticing more and more that the people that have been in my life literally for decades, like 30, 40 plus years, we've drifted apart at times, but we share some very core values. That's integrity, that's courage, that's being kind to people, that's being accepting of people, whatever those values are for you. If you know your values, you're going to be able to connect with people much easier and quicker and much more openly and have much deeper friendships and a richer experience of life. The goal isn't a big circle, it's the right one. You only need 1 or 2 really good friends to make a huge difference in your life. And once you make those connections, those people are going to have friends that you'll probably get along with as well. So that circle can keep growing and expanding. It's not about growing an enormous network of connections. I would rather have quality connections with a small group of people than a huge quantity of contacts and no connection, or just surface level connection. For me, it's meaningless. Why would I do that? So that's Feelgood Friday. Real stories, real connections, real insights into life on the road. You might not be on the road, but you can take these same ideas and apply them to your day-to-day life to enrich your experience of life and enrich the experience of other people in your life. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Any comments or questions, please drop them below. And as a challenge, please, this week, sit down with a piece of paper in a quiet room just by yourself for 15 minutes and just map out, what am I looking for in a friend? What would be the kind of person that I want to invite into my life to share parts of my life, meaningful experiences, meaningful conversations? and build a connection that may last months, years, decades, or possibly the rest of your life. Thanks for stopping by. Happy trails. See you out on the road next Saturday.